Alright, so I am outside at the park. That's one of my things that I like to do when it's time for me to kind of just absorb nature, absorb the sun, and sit and contemplate meditation mode, right? So I want to tap in real quick. I wrote a piece earlier. It was called The Calling. And the calling basically mixes the arts. Well, a little bit. it has a blend of, I think this is Chingy, if I'm not mistaken, but it's called Every Time I Want to Leave, Something Keeps Pulling Me Back. And it's not necessarily about a love connection between a partnership of people, but it is in a sense a love connection of a partnership for the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So I like it because, well, I want to touch on it because when you have a specific calling on your life, you can feel pulled in different directions. You can feel drawn to that calling or have this soul recognition to that particular calling or person that may have triggered that particular calling, right? Oh, okay. All right. So, and if you have that drawing to something, then the universe is always going to show you signs and symptoms. Signs and symptoms, y'all, sorry. Anyway, signs and synchronicities. The universe is always going to show you signs and synchronicities. I have signs and synchronicities all the time. I have deja vu all the time. So, but I do want to touch on the fact that the universe is giving us signs, right? Because that is the divine source's way of getting our attention, because God is energy, and energy is all around us and all through us. And so the divine likes to show us things, or the Most High, whatever we want to call it. But I'm here to channel more words of the mother, the feminine aspect of the divine. Everything in this world has feminine and masculine energy, and we are all here to mate with another. Doesn't necessarily mean that we have to, but we all have the capability to do so. But not only do we have the capability to do that, it is within us, masculine and feminine. And if we are a carbon copy of the Most High, then we are both masculine and feminine, just like the Most High. So bringing back the mother to the father and reuniting them is a must. As they say, you can't have one without the other. Love and marriage. It goes together like a horse and carriage. So anyway, a lot of the love songs that don't necessarily have to be, I've never actually looked at all of the love songs as a situation of relationship, because I know that some of them are love of the divine, and that the divine is always trying to get our attention. But the mother is that aspect that I think reaches the most, because the mother has been suppressed for thousands of years. The mother has been written out of the story. So we have to connect the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Everything has that duality. So when you have a direct and profound calling on your life, you are going to go through some things. You're going to go through spiritual warfare. You're going to go through witchcraft. You're going to go through manipulation tactics. You're going to see things where people will directly but indirectly confirm things, tell you things, say things that you're like, okay. It's considered a form of manipulation, and I consider manipulation as witchcraft. I don't consider witchcraft to be a bad thing, but I do, however, consider the manipulation to be a form of witchcraft, because the manipulation is to plant a seed of doubt. That's not coming from the universe. That is coming from people. Planting that seed of doubt is to stop you from growing. And we're here to grow. We're here to connect. We're here to link up, collaborate, do things within this world that makes it a better place. So planting seeds of doubt is witchcraft. Sending certain ritualistic attacks towards a person to, not make them not want to trust others, that's a form of witchcraft. You shouldn't trust people. You need to be isolated from people. And that's not love. Because to love God is to love yourself, and to love yourself, you're going to love others, right? But if you don't know that you are God, then how can you love the next person? Because you don't see them as God. Because you don't see yourself as God. Yeah, I'm talking to you that's looking at the video. Yes. You are God. You are that image of the creation of time. You are the spiritual, walking human being. You are the Word. Christ is a consciousness. It is a higher consciousness. Christ came to teach that. Or Jesus came to teach that, right? So, depending upon your calling, you will face a lot of manipulative tactics. I myself personally went through witchcraft, so I know that it is real. And spiritual warfare is going to be a different story. But at the same time, it's really not, because spiritual warfare is manipulative tactics. We consider them separately because one is Christian and one is not. But technically, they're all the same thing. And the reason that they are the same is because if there are people behind the spiritual warfare or the spiritual attacks or the witchcraft, whatever you want to call it, then that's a manipulation tactic. And it is to, like I said before, plant that seed of doubt. But they know that they are God in a sense, because you can't plant a seed of doubt and or play God in someone else's life if you don't know that you are God, right? So you have to know that you are in order to be able to plant those seeds of doubt. And that goes to anyone in your life that tries to make you feel a certain type of way. I would hear, you can't help others if you can't help yourself. Well, why is that? Is it because someone else wants to play God in another person's life? The knowing that you are God part is the scary part, because when people know who they are and what they are, they can use it for either good or bad. That kind of makes me think of that Kanye song, "No one man should have all that power." You shouldn't have all that power to know who you are, right? Because if you know who you are, you can't use it for either good or bad. So anyway, said all of that to say, love God, love yourself, and love others. Know who you are. Don't let others try to change your perspective on who you are, because who you are is who you are today, not who you were from another timeline, not who you were in another lifetime. There was a scholar that said you can't punish a man for something that they did in a past life, because if that's not who they are, then they're not punishable by that crime. So basically, if I don't know what I did in another life, I can't be punished for it. I can only go by who I am today. And those are all manipulation tactics. And I had a really beautiful breakdown of that by having a conversation with a woman, and she was telling me how her husband would go back to things that she used to do. Oh, you used to do this, you used to do that. And she says, but that's not who I am now. How you see me is not who I am today. So regardless of the fact of what you did, it doesn't matter if you did it in this lifetime, which would be a different timeline, or in another life. Who are you now? And what did you come to do? Did you come to heal, or did you come to hurt? That is the question. Now, me, of course, yes, I did have spiritual attacks on my life. I've been stalked. I've had my privacy invaded. I've had it all. So mine, as far as well as all of the manipulation to make me think one way or another. So I understand what a spiritual attack looks like, or better yet, that's a better word for it, right? Instead of calling it witchcraft or spiritual warfare, we'll just call it a spiritual attack. That's much better, because I don't want people to think witchcraft is a bad thing. And of course, there are going to be some people that's going to be like, oh, witchcraft is a bad thing. It's all how you take it. Everything is here for everybody to participate in and perform their rituals upon, and we all perform rituals in everything that we do. So it is what it is on that. But spiritual attacks are a real thing, and spiritual attacks can come from people, because people know who you are before you do, and that's a real thing. And they will try to dim your light. They will try to make you small and try to keep you small. This is not an attack on men. It's just me wanting to channel and bring back the divine feminine. But you can take it how you want. Of course, you're going to take it how you want. That's just how life goes. I'm not going to be mad. But, you know, I will let you know it's not an attack on anybody. It's just me giving a little bit more context into your calling and why your calling will come with certain pushback. So anyway, I am going to leave it there. Peace, love, and light. I will come back and give more commentary either on this subject or a different subject. But have a good day.